Hello YouTube, in this video I'm going to talk about why secular people hate religion. Well, let's start about religion. What is really a religion? Religion has imprinted in it the tendencies to think about things that are kind of like beyond the veil of death. What happens after death and how do our actions affect that? And religion is also the basic rules of living, and religion is stories that have a point of teaching you why you should follow those rules of living. So religion is kind of like training the heathen. But why do secular people hate religion so much? I think that it's the basic misunderstanding of religion, that religion is something that is committed against you and not something that you practice against reality. They don't see, secular people see religion as a tool of action where someone else uses that tool against you. Because in reality religion is a tool that you use for better living. And that's the point. It's a mental tool. And what do religions also have that is against the modern society is the thinking that really long-term beliefs that have no real base in anything that could be proved. So the more secular human being doesn't believe anything before it has been proven, and this inability to believe in something, is it really like beneficial? I think religious people don't think facts about so much. If this is a fact or fiction, it doesn't really matter. It's more about the utility. Well, what can we achieve with this belief? It's a tool. So it doesn't really matter if it's true or false, because through belief we can create something that was not before, and we can make something that becomes a fact of reality through fiction or religion. And that's the fundamental difference. It's closer to magical thinking, religion, but secular thinking is the most far from magical thinking. Religion is closer to magical thinking, but religion goes farther from magical thinking than magical thinking was in the beginning, because through magical thinking we found this, or we thought like this, there are consequences that we can believe in, and we can make rituals and all these kinds of things, and we can make things happen in reality through our will. And secular people don't think like this. They think like this: there are rules in reality, and what I thought about the rules. The thinking of humanity doesn't happen like in pieces. Like it happens. We grow from magical thinking to religious thinking to secular thinking to scientific thinking to what happens after science. I don't know, but it happens like this because there are rules in the universe. Like when we had magical thinking, we only tried to like found out the rules. We built theories. We have always been building theories. Our theories are in the here and now are probably not even close to what it really is. And you can also pose a question that if there really is something else than theories, if there really is something real, or is it just we are trying to understand something that doesn't really even exist. We are trying to like project something to the empty screen of reality. I don't know, but secular people think that there are rules, and through these rules we learn these rules, and by applying different strategies and technologies and all these kinds of things we can harness the forces of reality to our own benefits, and we can make all kinds of things and inventions and like this. And how this differs in a sense against religious thinking is that in religious thinking it's not about the rules of reality, it's about rules of conduct, and you cannot really invent rules of conduct to science. So we grow from something to another thing, and we take all that baggage with us. There is still some kind of magical thinking in the secular human mind, and magical thinking is really when if you have tapped into this kinds of modes of thinking through rituals or psychedelic drugs or any kinds of drugs, then you know that this kind of thinking is really in the present moment. Like when you do something that you believe you are a consequence of, like for example in a state of psychosis, people many times think that something that happens in the world, for example, is their fault. And this is magical way of thinking, that we do something and something else that happens is our fault because we willed it to happen. This is also the foundation of voodoo and curses and all these kinds of witchcraft things. But they all rely on magical thinking. Well, if we think about modern society and money, for example, and stocks and bonds and all these kinds of things. Well, when the people say that, well, if you invest in this, your stocks are going to grow this much, and then you invest and it happens. Does this need a certain kind of magical thinking and belief behind it? Well, of course it does. It does need some kind of belief behind the pitch, so you grab it. And modes of thinking like this haven't really disappeared. They have only changed their shape because we cannot really think without belief, and we cannot really believe without like thinking. We have to think about something, and that is always a certain kind of theory about life. This is good, this is bad, this is beneficial, this is non-beneficial, this is harmful, this is not harmful. This is good for others, this is good for me, this is bad. You know, it's really rooted in this and the secular way of thinking is it's the same as it has been from the start of the fucking humanity. It hasn't changed in any way. Only the content has changed. The structure in the way we think, we have always been the same, but in what we think we have changed. So it's like you have your computer monitor. Well, you have looked all kinds of things on the monitor, but the monitor hasn't changed an inch. It hasn't changed at all from looking all those things. So it's the same way with humanity and thinking. And this is probably the reason why secular people that haven't really studied enough of magical thinking and religious thinking and are locked into the secular paradigm cannot really appreciate how religious even secular thinking is, like how religious it is, and how everything is in life is really about belief. It's not about facts. So this is really important to understand, because some people say that life is just this way, but the way it is created through our human actions. Most of life we are that the almost the whole life we are living in the modern world has been created through our actions. So if we say that life is just this way, then we are basically saying that our way of living is a fact of nature. It's a rule of nature. But it might not be a rule of nature, it might just be a certain kind of behavior. And behaviors are not really rules of nature or rules of the universe. They are something that has a motivation behind it. In the same way that if you want to go to heaven and someone tells you, imagine that you are living in a society that has not really even been exposed to things like technologies and internet and even like farming and agriculture, and someone comes to tell you that, hey, there's a thing called heaven, and in heaven everything is like magical and everything is perfect, and you can get everything you want in heaven, and you cannot even imagine what it's like to be in heaven. There are these skyscrapers, and when you go to the highest floor on the skyscraper, you can see the clouds from there, and all kinds of these things. But you have to, in your life, you have to make good actions and pay a certain kind of fee for me every month, and then you can go to heaven. And so there's a motivation behind the payment and doing the good deeds. So if we can produce good deeds through these kinds of beliefs, does that mean that does it really even matter if it's real what we believe? Because in a certain sense, secular human beings are more result oriented and less about the process of living. It's more about the results. What can I get from this? Then in a sense religion can be used in a really practical way in like conjuring events or happenings in the world. It's kind of like magic in that sense, but it's a more rational way of doing magic. And in a sense, what is intelligence? Because intelligence is something where if you want to make something happen, religion can have a certain kind of intelligence behind it, because if I say that you can get this thing that you want, but you have to do this thing that you don't want, but this thing is kind of beneficial for everyone, then it's easier for me to get you to do the thing that you don't want to do, if I tell you all about all these stories and imaginations of the good life in heaven. So now you understand, it's certain kind of the different way of looking at the world. Of course there are believers who don't think like this. They would not be able to believe in something that they would not be like certain that it's true. And in that sense it tells something about a certain kind of inflexibility or inability to inability to imagine and create imagination as a stepping stone for creating something that is real. It's kind of like building a bridge that is fully imaginary, but through that bridge you get to the other side. This is the reason I think that secular people hate religion so much. They can't think like this. This is too hard way of thinking, because here you have to bend or blend what is fact and what is fiction, and use those notions to create behavior. Like for example through emotions. And I question this, that is secular thinking really able to hook those emotions that put humans to action. So what is going to come next after magical thinking, after religious thinking, and after secular or scientific thinking? What is going to happen next? What is the way of thinking we are going to do next after this? The problem with all of these ways of thinking is that we are trying to get something from reality. In scientific thinking we are trying to get like understanding from reality. We are trying to get understanding. We are trying to like take something or make something happen. We are like fucking reality in a sense through these kinds of modes of thinking, or violating reality. Like we are coming and saying that reality is like this or this or this, and we are kind of like putting ourselves and each other into a box by doing this. And this is really harmful. It hurts reality when we do this, and it also hurts you when you do this. It's like self-harming and harming reality. So don't do this. And what is kind of left behind when you don't do this? That's the question. And humanity would have to evolve to that stage or state. Thank you.